Hi. Oh crap. Hi, I am back for another one of these album rankings. My nose is a little bit stuffy today, but I don't care because that's not what's important. I'm gonna be doing a listing of all of the Radiohead albums from worst to best. Radiohead is my favorite band, so yeah, this is a tough one, and this ranking is not one of the typical lists for Radiohead. Like, a lot of people would list the albums in a different order than I do here. So people can get mad at me all you want, but it's an opinion. It's not a fact. It, it's just my preference. Radiohead, they're one of they in the '90s they came out with Creep, which everyone knows, and then they released OK Computer, and then they blew up, and then they just went off to like the weirdest direction ever, and I love it. They did a lot of weird stuff, but everyone seemed to like it, and a lot of people have very weird opinions and specific opinions about Radiohead, because if you're a Radiohead fan, you're like a super Radiohead fan. I will see what all of you people think. You can yell at me, you can scream at me. Go ahead, I'm right here. So, yeah, here we go. Alright, this one isn't very surprising. In the number 9 place is Pablo Honey. I picked this up at Walmart. It was $5, so I'm eventually gonna get all the Radiohead albums on CD, but I don't have them all. I have like half of their discography. I mean, do I have to explain why this album is number 9? It's a 90s grunge album. There's nothing really too special about it. It's what got them started. I mean, if they didn't have Creep, they wouldn't have blasted off a little bit before even OK Computer. Anyone can play guitar is alright. Creep, everyone knows it. It's nothing special. It's nothing like out of the ordinary. Radiohead is known for their special stuff, and this is more of just a average 90s grunge rock album. So yeah. Open your mouth wide. Alright, next is The King of Limbs. I don't have this one on CD. I want it though. All of the albums from this point on I like, including this one. I actually do like The King of Limbs. A lot of people write it off. A lot of people are saying that it's just not that good. In some ways, I see what they're talking about. But, I mean, it's not like a terrible album. There are some pretty bad songs on it. Like, Feral and Little by Little are like some of my least favorite Radiohead songs. They're just meh. But I mean, the Lotus Flower, Bloom, Morning Mr. Magpie is really interesting. Codex is a really just amazing song vocally, and it hits pretty hard. Give Up the Ghost is probably the best song on that album in my opinion. But I mean, it's for what it is, it's good, but it's not. I don't think it stands up as close to any of their other studio albums. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad album, but it's just not my favorite. Number 7 is The Bends. The Bends is definitely a step up from Pablo Honey. With each album in their earlier days, they get more and more and more experimental. And, I mean, it's not like super experimental, but you put those quotation marks when I say experimental, but it's experimental rock, I guess. The Bends, they're still pretty basic, and they do a better job. The songwriting's better. There are some great songs on this album. Like, my favorite song on the album is Planet Telex. It's a great rock song. My Iron Lung is a really just... The bass line's awesome. There's a cool slap bass line on that song. The song The Bends is good. It's a good song. High and Dry is a pretty song. Nice vocals. It's overall, it's just more standard rock still. But it's a good album. Also, I can't not mention, like, Just, Street Spirit, Fade Out, Fake Plastic Trees... All good stuff, but again, not my favorite. Number 6 is Amnesiac. Amnesiac is kind of the Kid A aftermath. You know, the extras, almost in a way. But it's still considered a full-length album from Radiohead, and it's definitely not a letdown. There are some weird songs on this album that kind of don't make me like it as much as I feel like I could. Like Hunting Bears is what is going on in that song? Polk Pole Revolving Doors, that song is, I mean, it's cool. It is a cool effect. That's pretty experimental there. Like Spinning Plates is pretty bad, except for the live version. The live version is what you need to pay attention for. People may get mad at me for that, but again, I don't know. It's the album version isn't as melodic as the live version. The studio version, though, I mean, it's recorded backwards, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna list my favorite songs off this album, and these songs are great. These are some of the best Radiohead songs. The reason why I'm ranking it lower, though, is just because the whole album isn't as, amazing from front to back. I might be wrong. Oh my god, wow, that song is amazing. Pyramid Song, one of the most highly praised Radiohead songs, and for a good reason. Life in a Glass House, there's a bunch of horns and just so much going on, and it's so cool, and the melody is so good. Tom York sounds great. Dollars and Cents is another really I don't know, it's just a good song. I don't know how to explain it. Knives Out is pretty straightforward throughout the whole song, but it's it's catchy and it's dark, really dark. It's a good album. Amnesiac is definitely not an album you should just pass up, because there are some of the best Radiohead songs on this album. But as a whole album, it's not as attracting, I guess. Not as, attractive for me, at least. It's not making me want to go listen to it. The whole album, there's definitely songs on here, but not the whole album. Alright, this is where people are going to get mad at me. Number 5, it's OK Computer.
Oh my god, what are you doing? You're an idiot.
You go ahead and type that right now in your comment section. Okay, I'm a pretty diehard Radiohead fan. I've listened to all of their albums over and over again, and this album is brilliant. It is one of the most game-changing albums that has ever been created. In the 90s, it was so influential and so different that everyone freaked out when it came out. From front to back, it's a great album, but really, it's just... Radiohead is one of those bands that are they go above and beyond, and OK Computer is a fantastic and just mind-bending album, but then there's other albums, which I'll get to in a little bit. What else do you have to say? It's OK Computer. It's, one of the most revolutionary albums. Best songs on there, definitely, Paranoid Android. It's like a 4-part song, but they moshed it all together into one amazing, just 6-minute cluster. But they pull it off so well. Climbing Up the Walls is a creepy song, but it's one of my favorite Radiohead songs. It's so cool. Exit Music for a Film is... it's one of the most powerful songs that Radiohead has, and that's saying quite a bit, because Radiohead has a lot of hard hitters emotionally. It's a really powerful song that goes from way down here up to here in a good 10 seconds. But it does a really good job at building itself. Subterranean Homesick Alien is amazing. Karma Police is a classic Radiohead song. I could talk about how great every single song on this album is, but for some reason, I like these next 4 albums more than this one. That's how great Radiohead is. And this album is... wow. Alright, people are probably gonna get mad at me for this one, having it lower or not as high as it, you know, people usually have it. My next album on this list is Kid A. Now, Kid A, this was a huge just. So they were a rock band before this album. Then they went full electronic experimental, and a lot of people at the beginning really just were like writing this album as like, what the hell happened to Radiohead? But it's aged so well, and so many people praise this album and say it's one of the best albums ever made. I don't blame them. This album, Tom York wanted to just go full, like whatever. That's the best way to put it. And you know, they made songs like the national anthem, Everything in Its Right Place, Idiotech, In Limbo, How to Disappear Completely, Motion Picture Soundtrack, Optimistic. This album is the definition of mind-blowing, and it's just, they do it so well. How to Disappear Completely is one of the most emotional songs I've ever heard in my life. It's so good, it's sad, but it's so good. Motion Picture Soundtrack is a great finisher. I mean, technically it's not the finisher, because there's a song called Untitled that's just like 30 seconds of whatever. In Limbo, a lot of people kind of pass that one up, and they're always like awing over How to Disappear Completely and Everything in Its Right Place and all that. But In Limbo is it's a great song. I feel like there's a lot of like background stuff going on with the guitars that make it really atmospheric. It's really cool. Idiotech, that's just, there's almost no guitar. I don't think there is. Is there even any guitars? There's just a drum machine and a few synths and Tom's vocals, I think. And I think that's it. But it works so well. Radiohead is one of those bands where I could just go on and on about every single song on an album. But I can't. I don't have 7 years. So, yeah, this is my number 4 pick, even though this album is brilliant. It's just so hard to choose, but I think I like these next few a little bit better.
In the deepest ocean, the bottom of the sea, yeah.
My number 3 pick is In Rainbows. This album, it was after Kid A, it was after Hail to the Thief, it was after, you know, kind of their big era, but it's, in a way, it's underrated. This album is, it's almost a masterpiece. This album has songs like Jigsaw Falling Into Place, which are just really melodic, really fast and up-tempo, and it's just chugging along, it almost feels like. Weird Fishes is so good. It starts off slow and it builds up. Just the melody, everything about that song is good. It's Radiohead. Nude is, it's very chill at the beginning. It's like there's not much going on except for the bass, like the do 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 do, and then it comes in with the like all the synths, and Tom's vocals are so good. A lot of people have this as like at least in their top 5 Radiohead songs, but I mean it is probably in mine, honestly. It's this whole album is so good. Body Snatchers has one of the coolest riffs I've ever heard in my life. Reckoner's great. The drums are really cool. Another beautiful song from Radiohead. It's just 15 Step, House of Cards, All I Need, Videotape. Every song on this album is good. I mean, I think Faust Arp is like a little bit below average in terms of all the other songs being there, but it's still a good song. But wow, this album is so great, and even if you're not a Radiohead fan, listen to this album. It's again a masterpiece. Okay, don't get mad at me. Please don't get mad at me. My number 2 pick is the album Hail to the Thief. I think it was 2005. Radiohead. This was after Kid A. It was the aftermath of what is Radiohead doing, and no one knew where they were gonna go next because Kid A was just out of nowhere. Hail to the Thief came after Kid A. A lot of people put this at like their number 4, 5, or 6 spot, maybe even down towards like 7. But why? It's okay. This album is a good, what is it? A good 14? Yeah, 14 songs long. There's some okay songs on this album. There are some songs that are just eh. The Gloaming is kind of meh in my book. Backdrifts is okay. I Will is okay. But besides that, every song is good. We Suck Young Blood is the most creepy song that Radiohead's ever made, and it's so cool. Sail to the Moon is another beautiful Radiohead song. A Wolf at the Door is one of the most highly praised Radiohead songs, and I will bow down to it as well, because A Wolf at the Door is a song that Radiohead, like, they haven't done anything like it.
I'll be calling the doctor for me aside.
It's just very low and just very... He sounds tired, but I think that just gives so much more atmosphere and effect to the song. Mixomatosis is a great bass line. Go to Sleep has just like 50 guitars stacked onto it, but it sounds so good. It sounds so full in the best way possible. A Punch Up at a Wedding. A lot of people kind of overlook this one or say it's too long. I don't think so. I think it maintains that very deserted feel, and it does it so well. This song is actually, it's probably in my top 5 Radiohead songs, and I say this for every album, but I really do believe this one is up there. The song Sit Down, Stand Up is, I think, one of the most overlooked Radiohead songs, besides, Pablo Honey and stuff like that. This song it's so just eerie, it's so weird. This song is an endless build-up until it finally gets to that climax where it's just like, the raindrops, the raindrops, the rain. The build-up for that song is what makes the song for me. It is just... The melody is so catchy, so just... It sticks in your head. I don't know, it's such a unique song. Something that I've definitely never heard before, and I highly praise. 2 + 2 = 5... may be my favorite Radiohead song. I don't know though. It's I think so. I really do think so. 2 + 2 = 5 is hands down the best album opener I've ever heard in my life. It just everything about it. It starts off slow, gets really creepy. Hail to the Thief is a very political and creepy album, and 2 + 2 = 5 embodies that. It talks about the government. It talks about just power in general. It's a must listen. It's a must listen. And the ending is just like, you can tell what they were trying to go for. They were trying to go to more like of a chaotic feel. The ending feels exactly like that. It feels more of a just like, kind of just angry, messed up, out of control kind of feel. It feels so angry, and I love it. How long have I spent talking about this album? I think I've spent like 10 minutes talking about this album. But this is why it's at my number 2 spot. And I'm not even on my number 1 yet. And if you're a Radiohead fan, you know what that is. Hail to the Thief is a great album. There are some okay songs. There are some songs that I could write off as being some of the bad Radiohead songs. Not bad, but just, I don't really care about Radiohead songs. But then there's stuff like 2 + 2 = 5, There, which is one, I didn't even mention that one. That one's amazing. Sit Down, Stand Up, A Wolf at the Door, Sail the Moon, A Punch Up at a Wedding, We Suck Young Blood, Mixomatosis, Go to Sleep. It's just, it really does capture that controlling governmental feel, and that's why it's at my number 2 spot. Jeez, I spent forever on that album.
Dreamers, they never
Alright, number one, here we are. I don't know how people feel about this. I don't know normally where people rate this, but this album, it's a Moon-Shaped Pool. I have it on CD. I have it on vinyl. I have it digitally. I have it everywhere. This album, it's it's a hard hitter. You have to be in the right mood. You have to be in the right mindset to listen to this album, because this album means a lot to me. But even if I have a little bit more of a bias on this album, but even if without my bias, if I listened to this album for the first time, if I did that again, like I did when I did listen to the album for the first time, I would be absolutely just like shocked. This is me. Oh crap! This is me post that video. I'm editing it right now. But something I forgot to say about Moon-Shaped Pool is that never has an album before put me in a trance and a shock. Like after I listened to it for the first time, it's. I'm just gonna let myself explain. It's the most beautiful album I've ever heard in my life. The reason why this album is so such a downer is because I think this is the album that Tom York, I think he broke up with his wife, and I think Johnny, I think he like lost some old friends or something like that. But all of that kind of dreariness came into music, and they made it into this album. This album is just, it's not only a masterpiece, it's not only one of the best things I've ever heard in my life, but it's a very hard hitter. Daydreaming, that song puts you in a trance. True Love Waits, Tom York actually wrote that song way before this album, but he finally made it into a piano-driven song and put it on this album. Present Tense is, the guitar work on that is so good. The acoustic guitar work. The vocals are so just like laid back and just moving. Burn the Witch has violins, something like that. It's the most upbeat song in the album, and it's not even upbeat. I mean, I guess it is, but it's still like a dark song. I think it's more religious in that kind of sense, but there's the violins, and I think Tom wanted to do this song too for a while when he put it on this album. Deck's Dark is just another beautiful song. The Numbers has like a really weird feeling to it, but I love it. That's kind of all Radiohead stuff, but especially this song. Full Stop, actually no, I take it back. This song has the weird feeling to it. Full Stop, it's a build-up. It has more of a build-up to it. He's talking about like if we could take it all back again, to be trapped in this full stop, stuff like that. It's very, again, this one's probably the most atmospheric song on the album, but it's really, it just cages you in this weird kind of feeling. This album, I can't really explain it in words. It's kind of hard to explain it in words, because this album is something that I can't really explain. You just kind of have to listen to and feel it for yourself, because the feeling that this album gives you, I can't get out. You know, it's just, it's a hard hitter, and it's my favorite Radiohead album. I just have to say right now, all of Radiohead's work has been amazing. Don't please understand where I'm coming from with these album choices, because I like all of the Radiohead albums. This album, if you need to get that, it sounds so good on vinyl. It sounds so good on a record player. But yeah, it's my favorite Radiohead album. I don't know what else to say except that this album is probably one of my favorite albums of all time, honestly. But yeah, we're at the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Listen to this album. I think that people need to listen to this album and give it a little bit more attention, just because of how amazing it really is. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, let me know. This is going to take me a while to edit, because I've been talking for a good, what does that say, 45 minutes? Maybe longer? Jeez. You've probably gotten annoyed of me right now, or by now. click off the video if you're done. But thanks for watching. Radiohead is one of my favorite bands. Let me know any other bands I can do. I've listened to a crap ton of bands. I have a huge list of bands that I've ranked on this computer, and suggest bands I can listen to and review and rank. But yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you whenever I see you again, because why wouldn't I?